National Action Network, and I went in. I was with Reverend Yearly, and we were standing, and had not had a chance to look at the itinerary until we looked at it, and sure enough, with great pride, we were able to look on this list, and they had gathered some of these lawyers from all over the country, and the only Baltimorean that was on it
was Billy Murphy.
The very distinguished judge, the very distinguished lawyer, Esquire, Mr. Billy Murphy, one of the top 100 of the nation. And we were so honored to sit there and take pride, being Baltimoreans, that he was on that list.
Billy Murphy!
Esquire, thank you. Good morning, sir.
How are you doing, Larry?
Hanging in there, sir.
Larry, how do you do it, brother?
Listen,
stay relevant every year after year.
All I can say is this family. When everybody saw, we said, wait a minute now. If anybody has any doubts, dot your I's, cross your T's, because you ain't going to get nothing past this one. If there's anything to get past, he's going to call it out. And, sir, they did right to pull you in here. As cases go, you've got this situation. And what was your assessment of yesterday's press conference?
It was a bizarre press conference. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't fault the mayor, because I think the mayor was clear where she wanted to go. I think that she's probably got a big stick on both of these police officers, because she has direct authority over them. And chain of command, she's their leader. And so I think she's made it clear that she wants this problem solved. And it's true it happened on her watch, but it's also true that she is not responsible for what the police officer did, or these police officers did to this young man. And so she's in a pickle. If she doesn't get the problem solved, people are going to hold it against her. If she does get the problem solved, then she has to move on to the next problem and the next problem, because you know how public life is. You've never done enough for enough people. But the bizarre part came when the police started talking, because their demeanor was unlike any demeanor I've ever seen from top cops. They actually looked frightened. And you can't blame them for looking frightened, because you wake up one morning and there's an incident on your watch, and then the entire nation and much of the world is looking at you under a microscope.
Wow.
And so I got the feeling, looking at them, that they were very, very, very uncomfortable and very, very frightened about the possible outcomes that could be bad for them. Now, moving on to what they said, I think that this press conference started out with great promise. We were all sitting on the edges of our chairs saying, oh my God, what revelations are they going to bring us? They said that they deep into this investigation and that they've got stuff to tell us. And they told us really nothing of significance. They made some damaging admissions. They admitted that this guy, and they did it in a roundabout way. They talked about, we're going to hold police officers accountable when they don't do this and when they don't do that. When somebody reaches out and asks for help and they don't get help, we changed the regulations that we're going to hold police accountable if they don't get people the medical help that they have been requesting. Well, that implied that the man requested medical help and that they didn't give it to him. They spoke about an inhaler, that he made a request for that, but this man didn't die of asthma. He died of a partially severed spinal cord and a broken neck. But they gave us nothing about that. Not even a theory, no evidence of what happened. And they looked like deers in the headlights when it came to talking about what happened to this man. So we got nothing. What do we get? No explanation, no accountability, no transparency. Now, if you're going to be transparent, why don't you give us the police officers' statements? The 6 police officers who you suspended.
6.
Where are their statements? They said something. The police admitted to some of what they said. But where are those statements? Where are the oral statements? What is the product of your investigation of them? out of their own mouth. Again, we heard nothing. And I don't know where this is going to end up, but somebody's got something in mind, because it's odd to put a timetable on an investigation. You know, how do you say we're going to have this wrapped up by next Friday? You might as well say next Friday at 11:30 a.m. It's going to be finished. No. How do you finish this? Unless you get the answers. It continues until you solve the problem. But I think that, you know, there's an urgency here that makes them act in an unusual way. People want answers. Now, either you can get the answers by next Friday, or you got to keep digging until you do. This investigation should not stop short of a definitive solution to this problem. So, you know, what can you say, man?
I was, Attorney, I was trying to figure out this police Bill of Rights situation and the 10 days that the police have before they have to answer. What is that possible? Why they throwing in this extra? They said it could get some answers. Why, like you said, they're going to go till next Friday, and I'm just figuring out, is this 10-day waiting period has something to do with that kind of delay?
Well, no doubt, because the police officers are going to look out for themselves. And they're going to exercise their right to remain silent. And if they do cooperate with the investigation, it will be after having 10 days to get their ducks in a row, coordinate their story, and come up with something that will probably exonerate them. That's their strategy.
10 days.
I can't blame them for having that strategy, but let's be real. This 10-day waiting period is an odd duck. How many police departments in the country or in the world can refuse to cooperate, have their officers refuse to cooperate with an investigation, and that be okay? No. You're human beings too. You have a job to do, aside from the fact that the finger of guilt may be pointing in your direction.
Right.
You were there. You have an obligation to cooperate with the police. There was a case in New York State, 20 years ago in the Supreme Court, where a police officer was in the same dilemma. And the solution was that, yeah, you got to cooperate with the investigation, but your statements can't be used against you in criminal court. But you still are helping the police to learn what happened. You have an obligation to talk. You have an obligation to cooperate. I mean, that's like me, you know, if something goes wrong on my job, and the boss wants to know what happened, and the entire enterprise is at stake. I'm not telling. What do you mean you're not telling? I got my right. Yeah, and I got my right to kick you out the door. So, you know, it's an odd situation. Very odd, strange.
For sure. I mean, we've been able to ask the attorney if he'll give us some time. He says he can give us some. We'll work with the clock here. We'll take an information break and to come right back. And also, he'll be able to, within reason, I guess he certainly knows how far he can go in responding. He is representing the family, but he did say he would take some Q&A from us. So let's be mindful of that, and it'd be very important for me if you would be so kind as to try to keep your comments to a question and not a commentary, so that we can get as many up as possible. Every line's lit.
Well, folks, that's the Larry Young Morning Show, interviewing. I am Larry the Flat Chair Driver, recording on the radio. I'm recording. This is my tape, and I approve this message. Have a great day. Same day in Baltimore, all over the country.